Hi everyone, thanks for coming. Tonight we welcome back Jim Pascual Agustin, who was born in Manila in the Philippines and moved to Cape Town in 1994. He writes in Filipino and English, publishing a short story collection in Filipino and several books of poetry in the Philippines, the UK, South Africa, and the USA. His poetry has won prizes in South Africa at the New Coin Dalro Awards, the EU Solplaiki Poetry Awards, and others. His two most recent books are BLOODRED, DRAGONFLIES, published by Deep South in South Africa, and Waking Up to the Pattern Left by a Snail Overnight, published by Gordy Boy in the USA, which won the Gordy Boy Poetry Prize. Please welcome Jim.
Hi, thank you very much, Stuart. Thank you everybody for being here tonight. Sorry, I'm a bit jittery. I almost didn't have electricity tonight, so luckily we have now. Hopefully we won't get cut off. I don't know if everybody knows me here, so thank you for the introduction, Stuart. I'd like to say a few things before I start reading my poetry. First, thank you to the organizers of the Wall Poetry for having me again. Thank you, Stuart, Emily, Julia, Keith, and everyone else, all the fantastic volunteers who keep this wonderful space open for all of us. Last month, I went to the USA for the very first time. Hopefully, it's not going to be the last time. I went to the USA to launch my new book, Waking Up to the Pattern Left by a Snail Overnight. I still have to remember how to say that long title. It won the 2022 Gordy Boy Poetry Book Prize. It's for poets with Asian heritage. I am now South African, so I'm like Filipino South African, Asian South African. So I sort of got a foot in by being part Asian. Anyway, it won last year. I didn't expect it, and yeah, and I thought I wasn't going to be able to go to New York, but a number of very generous friends came together, put up a back a buddy campaign, and put together so much money that I could actually make the trip. So if it's all right, I just want to thank everyone. It's a bit of a list. So it's Tracy Saunders, Ishmael Mohammed, Art Medina, Joel Hara, Emily Buchanan, Susan Evangelista, Justine Tajonera, Tony and Dolly Dusipek, Jam Mirabueno Imson, Ariel Alfonso, Giselle Barreto Lapitan, Rene Bonan, Philippa Ya, Eric Yaptanco, Gigi Gosnell, Jose Reyes, Peter Casimiro, and Victor Kalanog. And then there were a lot of people who donated, who wanted to be anonymous, to remain anonymous. But I mean, I really, I am very grateful for all your donations and for all the support. So thank you. And it was quite an adventure. And I was lost most of the time in the USA. In New York, I kept getting lost. But I met so many lovely people, and the audiences were really nice. The people who attended the launches in Seattle and New York were very welcoming, and they made me feel at home. And yeah, such lovely people all over the world helped me to be there. So I just want to say thank you. Tonight I'll be reading mainly from my two most recent books. BLOODRED, DRAGONFLIES, and Waking Up to the Pattern Left by a Snail Overnight. Stuart, please tell me like if I have like 10 minutes left, please, so I can shut up. And all right. Okay, I'm going to start with a few things about BLOODRED, DRAGONFLIES. It's actually, I didn't expect it to have a sibling so quickly. I was supposed to be promoting this book for the next few years. I didn't know I was going to have another book to go with it, so I'm promoting them together. At the same time, I want to mention that BLOODRED, DRAGONFLIES actually is a selected poems collection. So Robert Berold, he wanted this book many years ago, 10 years ago actually, and I said no, and I kept saying no, and he said no, he wants it selected. So we compromised. So, and he chose from various collections as well. One of them is from the Philippines. Oh, it doesn't show up. There we go. How to make a it's here. It's there we go. How to make a Salagubang helicopter, and my other books as well. So they went in, but they got edited a little bit. And Robert Bell is amazing, super editor, and we fought, but yeah, he's I have to thank him so much for what he's done to my work. So I'm going to start reading from, actually, I have a little bit of a list. I'm going to start from Salagubang, how to make a Salagubang helicopter. I'm going to share the screen now so people can see. Let's see if it works. Can you guys see that? Not yet. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. It's called I Don't Have to Kill You. We had Earth Day celebrations, supposed to be in different parts of the world. This is sort of not an Earth Day poem, but it's got an animal, an insect, or a spider. It's called I Don't Have to Kill You. The villain in a superhero movie has to show something ugly to break the human link. It could be the way he withers a child's sense of awe by crumpling a paper boat, or letting the camera focus on a fine line of saliva as he speaks. He never gets a chance to retrieve his soul from flames and explosions, or from the cold embrace of deep waters. On the other hand, the hero may seem to fail or falter at every turn before he finds his feet. We expect nothing but triumph by the time the titles unfurl. These thoughts come to mind as I struggle to catch a spider. I hold a flimsy piece of paper close to its path, but it turns away again and again, slender legs making its tiny body bob up and down. It has no idea I am trying to save it from the cat. Maybe it cannot feel the breeze from the open window. I say, my patience is running thin. Don't make me take the shorter route to ending this scene. A bit of a nasty one, but the second poem I'd like to read is called Danica May. Actually, sorry, the second one is called The Future of Laughter. It's also from How to Make a Salagubang Helicopter. I still have copies of this in case you guys want to get a copy from me. This one has a photograph to go with it. So I'm going to share the image along with the poem. All right. I hope you guys can see that. There. Got it. Okay. Thank you. Okay. The Future of Laughter. Someone will try to decipher laughter in a future where each new infant may still be born to weeping upon being ripped out of a womb, bearing trademarks. Mere creatures designed for obedience, pain as controlling implants. And in resistance, there will be a search for the last child born of unmanufactured flesh, one whose eyes tighten to slits, with cheeks that fill up with something that cannot be contained. One whose lips quickly give in to choppy bursts of sounds beyond control. By then, we will have found laughter as a weapon. I hope you guys can hear me clearly. I've got headphones on. I'm not sure. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Um, I thought that would be like a different kind of poem to share. It's supposed to be like a sci-fi narrative going on with it, and I love sci-fi stories and books and movies, even though there's most of them are really bad. But it's just this way of being transported to another place and yet finding something familiar. The next one I like to share is called Danica May. I don't know how many of you know about what's been happening in the Philippines. The previous president, Rodrigo Duterte, is now being investigated by the International Criminal Court for all the murders that took place under his regime. The guy who took over from him now is the son of the former dictator Ferdinand Marcos, and the elections were rigged so that he could take power. And I think the deal is he will protect Rodrigo Duterte from the International Criminal Court. So he got to be elected, chosen by Duterte. The poem is called Danica May. It's the name of this 4-year-old girl who was killed during the drug war, the fake drug war by Rodrigo Duterte. I think she was with her grandfather at the time. And she got in the way of the cops who wanted to kill the grandfather. Danica May. The president's helicopter will never land near your barangay. He will never walk up to your mother's house, dust his shoes off before stepping through the door. He'll never look around where you kept your toys. His eyes won't linger on your clothes as they hang or lay folded, now separate from the family laundry. He won't ask what your favorite ice cream flavor was, or how you held a crayon in your hand, or whether you covered your mouth whenever you laughed. Whatever I say won't matter, not to you, not even as I declare that bullets did not end your life, words did. The bullets were nothing but bits of metal that could have been a door to your toy car or the buttons of a dress you will never now wear. Okay, I'm gonna move on to blood-red dragonflies. Something called chameleon birth. It was originally part of an earlier collection called Alien to Any Skin, and that's the cover of the book. It's very thick. It's my thickest book ever. It's 190 pages almost of poetry, and it was published in the Philippines in 2011. And the original title of the poem was Chameleon Caress. And then Robert Bell thought Chameleon Birth would be a better title. So we agreed on that. And so it's now in Blood Red Dragonflies as Chameleon Birth. Okay. Chameleon Birth. Veins pulsing She grips the branch that holds her up, tongue bunched inside her jaws, soundless. Her slit of flesh finally blossoms. A ball of slime drops, but refuses to plunge to rough ground. Membrane clings to closest branch. In a breath, a limb breaks that soft sheet. And this thing, a minuscule version of its mother, starts to climb, born with the same slumbering acrobatic agility. It creeps upward, seeks warmth for its fragile skin, while she gives birth to another and another, until all life nearly drained, she heads down. Slow body gently presses against each offspring, a first and last caress. I wish I could see the others' faces as well, because I'm not sure if they're if they're hearing me properly or what. Okay. I'm going to show you quickly what the poem looked like in the previous book. It was called Chameleon Caress. It looked rather different. There it is. I don't know if you can see that. It's more or less the same text. Okay. The next poem I'd like to read is called Hands Over Face. It's a little bit of a horror sort of narrative, because I love horror movies. It's one of those things that's, why do you do that to yourself? You choose something to get scared, to get yourself scared. And for me, it's more like I think it's a way of reminding myself that there are worse things, but they sort of end. The movie ends until they make the sequel or make. But in real life, they're always around us, but in different forms. But at least in a movie, that sort of horror ends. Anyway, this is called Hands Over Face. Any day now, the sky will turn liquid. All engines will be silenced, hands in a casket. My grandfather mumbled these words before he stared forever. They made no sense, yet I still remember them. I remember being small and the ceiling white, immense. Mother ran her hands over grandfather's face as if she were blind. Her fingers drew down his eyelids, but in my mind, he kept staring right through the ceiling. 9 weeks later, I heard the sounds he used to make while searching for his slippers. Dark leather and stone heavy. Or maybe for his yantok cane, that third leg, that third arm he used to wield at neighbors' children who stole guavas from his yard. Or searching for the key to his door that he'd grown too frail to shut. And any moment now, he will call on us, one of us, me. Okay, the next poem, going to move into slightly different territory. I have a blog called Matang Manok. Matang Manok is a Filipino word. It means eyes of a chicken, basically. I started the blog during one of the attacks, big attacks by Israel on Palestine in Gaza. And it was my only way of like showing my anger to what's been happening for far too long in the Middle East. Anyway, it sort of became a personal blog after that. After my blowing up my anger, it became a blog where I put different stuff in, and then I wrote about different countries and what's been happening as well. This poem is called Defiance. It's an anti-war poem, and it's sort of general enough to fit any situation in any place in the world that's having horrible events brought upon by political forces or whichever groups want to take power. Let me just read it. It's called Defiance. Defiance. A street lamp with a piece of blue wire sticking out one side. A corner bakery that lays out a new tray of bread dusted with fine sugar an hour before the school bell rings. An elderly neighbor sweeps the pavement beyond her property without ever lifting her head. Something green, red and brown hangs off a crumbling ledge. Perhaps a curtain blasted off a window that overlooked a busy street I used to roam. Someone I knew once waved from that window, hoping I would wave back. I'm gonna read another poem, but I need to tell you that it came from this book, Crocodiles in Belfast and Other Poems. It's actually a book that's the real geographic home is South Africa, but it was published in the Philippines. It almost got published in South Africa, but last minute the publisher here backed out. The poem was much longer in its original form in this book. It was shortened when it ended up in Blood Red Dragonflies. The original poem was more it mentioned school, a school and children and people being bombed, but I think Robert Bell decided that it was a bit all over the place. I would have wanted that to be in, but I think what he did was he made it so much more refined, much more focused with his editing, and I totally agree with him. So I'll show you the original first, and then I'll read the new version. So it was called A Question of Blood and Asphalt originally, but I'm reading the new version called The Scorch on the Asphalt. The scorch on the asphalt. The car in front, 2 seconds ahead of mine, struck him. Sorry, let me start again. The scorch on the asphalt. The car in front, 2 seconds ahead of mine, struck him head on. 2 years since the day the sun scorched his blood onto the asphalt. a trapped ghost. It's still there, close to the island, on the highway, a dark shape stretched on a darker surface, invisible to other drivers. That poem actually was it's basically what I saw. I was driving on the N1 going home, and then this guy was crossing the highway and he got hit by the car in front of me. I got out and there was nothing I could do. The children in the car that hit it, they were all crying. The parents were panicking, and I couldn't do anything. I just stood there, and I didn't have a cell phone at that time. And the guy basically was he was near death, and I couldn't do anything. Anyway, the next poem is called Enduring the Night. I'm going to move into the new book. Stuart, we're still okay? All right, okay. The new book has this very interesting cover. When they first showed it to me, I couldn't make it out. So I said no, because I mean, when you pick up a book, you need to be able to see what the title is. But this one was quite cryptic, and it's actually based on a photograph I took of, there it is, I took of my window out here with the pattern left by a snail. But I'll read the poem later about it. It's called Waking Up to the Pattern Left by a Snail Overnight. So the first poem I'm going to read, it's called Enduring the Night. This particular poem shares the titles of it's actually from one section called Resonate. It's at the end of the book. All the titles share the same title, okay, which is based on a line from a song by Björk, the Icelandic musician, anchor song. And the line is originally "End During the Night." So each poem had a different title based on that. Oops, I can't see. There we go. One is Enduring the Night. The next one is, and if you can see that, oops, I keep disappearing. Injuring the Night. Sorry, this is weird because I'm using a background. Sorry, guys. Injuring the Night, and there, each one is different. Injuring the Night, Injured in the Night, Enduring the Night. It's sort of a playful way of making titles. Anyway, I'm going to read the one called "And You Ring the Night." Okay. Okay, hope that shows up. And you ring the night. You hold a phone, though it is a banana, in the eyes of those who cannot see. You cradle it from another time, the rubber-covered wire coiled around your arm again. Outside, it is late afternoon, but your voice bears the sleepless weight of dawn. It is September, the season to remember the disappeared. And you ring the night watchman who doesn't pick up. Your finger makes precise movements in the air. The rotary phone spins back in silence. That's supposed to be a poem about martial law in the Philippines and the survivors of the people who were killed during that time. Um, I'm going to read the next one called "And During the Night." It's actually a poem that won the MacGregor poetry competition last year. And I made a fool of myself when I read it because I didn't know it had won in the first place. And then they made me read it. They didn't tell me what it won. And then they gave me the they gave me the certificate and said first prize. And I said, and I screamed, I squealed, first prize. And I jumped all over the place like I was some silly bunny. Anyway, okay, I'm going to share the poem. Okay, it's called "And During the Night." When the leopard frogs were roused from ground that for years looked like cracked concrete, the weight on the silenced highway was lifted, croak by croak, faint at first and few. It must have taken time for the wet winter to reach their secret place of slumber. As their bodies wakened to the touch of water, their tongues, instructed by instinct, stretched to caress eyes, backs, limbs, bellies, sacrificing sleep. I listened. Okay, looks like we're still okay with time. Okay.
About 10 more minutes so from now.
10 more minutes. Okay, that's fine. I still have, okay. Okay, the next one is another one of those like semi-horror. This one is gonna mention The Walking Dead. So, but it's The Walking Dead in reverse, basically, is how the poem is. Okay, I'm gonna get it now. And it's called Dry Bones. Ezekiel saw a version of The Walking Dead in reverse. In the valley of dry bones, worms wither as they empty their bellies. Ligaments stitch joints together. The last breath becomes the first, just before final words sound like an infant's initial cry. If I were Ezekiel, I would have fled into a cave or distant hill. Perhaps that is what separates me from all the prophets, false or real. I have no stomach for vivid visions of God or gods who play favorites among those they claim to love. When my jaws open for the last time, leave them be. Let the worms keep what they have to take from me. Okay, the next one is rather long. It's one of my longer poems, and it's basically my introduction to Africa poem. Okay, it's called Dissonance. I just need to find it because I think it's sorry, I didn't make a very good image of it for you to look at, so it's also quite warped for me to read right now. So I'm gonna have to find it. Page 7. Dissonance. Like a scene from a sci-fi B movie, the door opened and ground crew without protective suits bustled in to spray the cabin. Through the sudden cloud, I saw a nearby dump, their throats close to bursting as they screeched at each other, fighting over what another's discarded. This was my first view of Africa nearly 30 years ago. A stopover before Joburg. No different from an alien from another galaxy, another time. Only later would I learn of others from my home country, survivors of shipwrecks more than a century ago. They established the first fishing community near the bottom of the continent. But though we came from the same troubled archipelago, I had never caught a single fish. I'm far less equipped to catch one than a seagull. How can I even claim a distant kinship? My skin, not quite dark enough and far from white. Some might say the documents I earned are nothing but lies. My children did not choose their mixed parentage, yet they suffer the randomness of hate when I am not there to defend them. I can still hear those seagulls circling, tearing at the air with their screams, laying claim to what was once someone else's. How are we doing with time, Stuart? Can I read another one or two?
Let's say another two. That sounds good.
Another two. Okay. The next one is called After Seeing Mad Max. I'm not sure if you guys have watched the Mad Max movies and the last one. The last one is my favorite of all of them. It had very little dialogue, but the images are just so startling. I'm not sure if I did justice to making it into a poem, but here it is. After seeing Mad Max, Fury Road. In this world, water is a womb on a citadel of rock. There is a mad frenzy in the air. People move like spiders, climbing nearly vertical walls. Even the children are not children, but remnants of old clothes stitched together. There's a crunch of sand between the teeth if anyone ever tries to speak. The women stay silent. A rusty dagger hidden between folds of skin. Max, stray as a muzzled dog, dangles on protruding lengths of metal. In the crush of rock and steel, something is bound to be broken. A chain, a twisted order. Something else, without yet a name, will become flesh. Okay, almost to the last one. Actually, I'm just going to read the last one. I'm going to skip two poems because we're running out of time. Hey, Stuart. I'm going to read the title poem from the book, Waking Up to the Pattern Left by a Snail Overnight. It's my poem with probably the longest title, but has the shortest text. And here it is. Waking up to the pattern left by a snail overnight. Troubled as a dream without an end. It is all water and glass, this world bound by wood, not knowing it was a window.
Thank you very much. If one could unmute and give Jim a round of applause for a wonderful reading.
Thank you.